The San Jose Sharks start a critical 4-game road trip in stunning fashion. They take the W right off of those Washington Capitals' brutal blue sweaters. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Schneids. We'll talk about 10 a.m. Barracuda games right now on this edition of Teal Town After Dark. Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday night, January 26, 2022. Your San Jose Sharks are victorious in D.C. We don't need to recount here. By the score of 4-1, welcome to this edition of Teal Town After Dark. This is your live interactive Sharks postgame, and this is live and interactive. So, here's what you do. Chat with us, fellow Sharks fans, on the page or the app. Of course, follow us on the social, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Smash that subscribe button on YouTube. Of course, SoundCloud, Reddit, Discord, and yes, we do have a TikTok. And find everything at tealtownusa.com. And with that, good evening, everyone. I can see Ian chuckling when I said TikTok. We got a triple cast going on as I say hello to Mr. Ian Reed.
Hello.
And joining us again, rocking the road sweater, Mr. Kevin Lacey.
Yeah, I decided, got what the Barracuda wore today and what the Sharks wore tonight. I had to rep that, but should I have worn my Team Canada hat like Ian? That's the one thing that I'm missing, apparently.
That, as much as that gets called the turkey something logo, that hat is pretty crisp.
Yeah, it's pretty nice hat. I don't like the sweaters, but I still think it's fine.
Yep. So let's get at it, shall we? Sharks begin a 4-game road trip. This is one that we kind of been looking at for a while, as that could make or break the Sharks' postseason hopes. Of course, if you're just joining us, recently, Erik Karlsson, forearm surgery, out till March. He'll be reevaluated in March, so he's out. That's where you bring in Nicolas Meloche in. James Reimer back in net. Hill is injured, so Sawchenko was in net, or was in, not in net, not to scare anybody, was on the bench just in case. So, and of course, Rudolph Balcers we thought was getting into the lineup, but no, not this time. But early on, guys, I thought the Sharks got things going really early, and it showed with Noah Gregor finally getting off his 20-game schneid. He gets a goal right on about 7.5 minutes into this one. Ian, tell me about what you thought from Noah Gregor's second of the season.
Yeah, I thought it was a good goal, but not to take anything away from Noah Gregor. Noah Gregor was in the right spot, right time, able to put that in. But I think it was just a good, solid, the Sharks had a really good forecheck going for the first half of that first period, and that's what led to that goal. Again, not take away from Noah Gregor, because he's the guy that put the puck in the net. But a lot of work by Hurdle, Burns, to make that all happen. And, I'm happy that Gregor finally put it in. I thought Gregor looked, he showed a lot of jump after that goal too. I thought he had a couple other really, really good looks later on in the game. So hopefully that continues, and hopefully a few more going for him.
Yeah, and have Gregor get off that schneid. Kevin, you've seen him with the CUDA. It's been a struggle. He's been wanting to stay up here. What can you say about this guy?
Well, with Noah Gregor also, the projected lines before Balcers got scratched was that Gregor was going to be playing on a line with Benino and Nieto this evening, and he would have had to change his name to Gregorio in order to fit in with those two. But he ends up kind of getting put back onto that second line, and he showed that was warranted. It was kind of a prove me, show me, go do it kind of situation. And I actually thought the Sharks blew an opportunity on that goal because Gregor was blazing up there, and I thought just get it to him now. But they did the little pull up. But as Ian mentioned, really nice puck work by Hurdle and Burns and really just everybody on that play. And Gregor was the ultimate beneficiary anyway of that. So I put it on Twitter and I said, I think this is only the second time I've ever seen Noah Gregor smile or have any emotion at all at scoring. So it shows how much that goal meant for him. And really solid game out of number 73.
It seemed like it was he was saying hallelujah after that goal. I mean, the guy's had so many chances over the last couple of weeks. It's good to see he finally buried one. That made it 1-0 Sharks, and that was pretty much the only thing that happened in the first. Meyer had 5 shots on goal. It's like he wanted to go for another 5-goal game. Meloche 4 hits on that one. So overall, I thought they dominated really early. I thought Washington came back later in the period to get back into this. So definitely a good all-around period for the Sharks, and it would continue again early on as Matt Nieto feeds Nicolas Meloche for his first goal in the National Hockey League. Kevin, another Barracuda graduate, and taking advantage of Carlson's absence big time.
Yeah. Don't expect that to keep happening, folks. If my stats in my head,
no pressure, right?
Are correct. I believe Nick Meloche went 70 games without a goal in the AHL until the playoffs last year. So the fact that he has an NHL goal now, the 8th defenseman on this team to score a goal this season, which is pretty amazing. And I still wonder, I truly wonder if Marc-Edouard Vlasic's going to score this year. My vote is no. But great shot. And, guys, real clunky breakout by the Caps on that. So good capitalization by the Sharks because the Caps tried 2-3 times to break that puck out. And then they finally got it past their blue line and then turned it right over to Nieto. And then Nieto uses his speed and finds Meloche. Great shot. Can't take away anything from that shot. I mean, he earned that goal.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel bad for Ryan Merkley because he's never getting back in the lineup now.
I was actually going to toss it right to you, Ian, about Merkley. So Meloche gets this goal. It makes it 2-0. But, yeah, you bring up a good point.
Yeah,
why isn't Merkley here?
It's funny because before this game, and I knew this was going to happen, right? Like I knew the Sharks were going to play a good game because before the game, I was pretty apocalyptic about this whole thing. And I was like, oh man, if the Sharks lose, this is going to be such an awesome show. And then of course they won. And I'm not going to complain that the Sharks won, but probably would have saw a much saltier Ian if they hadn't won. I mean, this is typical Bugner, right? I don't like the play that when I was on the show last week, we talked about this goal against in the Tampa game. Ryan Merkley kind of did nothing instead of, you got to take the puck or take the man, and Ryan Merkley did neither, and it led to a goal against. But obviously, when you have a guy like Erik Karlsson go down, and tonight you wouldn't know it, but for a team as hard up for offense as the Sharks have been, Ryan Merkley's kind of the guy you want in the lineup, right? So, I mean, that's frustrating, and I don't agree with it. I mean, obviously it worked out. Meloche gets a goal, and good for him. And again, I'm not trying to take away anything from Ryan Meloche here at all, but it's just in this situation, you would think that a guy like Ryan Merkley, who is, Ryan Meloche is a guy, right? He's not the future of anything. He's a guy that's filling a spot. Ryan Merkley, on the other hand, he could be a guy, but we don't know yet. He could also be something. And I think that in a situation like this, that's the guy you probably want in the lineup. I mean, and he's going to draw back in. I joked earlier about Meloche scoring and Ryan Merkley not coming back in. It's not like Ryan Merkley's not going to draw back into the lineup. But I just think when, how big of an opportunity is it to get guys like that better looks? Because there's really no way, even if your team tank, you still want to play the kids. You don't want to just, well, we're just going to play a bunch of never will be's and, and tank that way. Like, that's not how you tank. You play the kids and see what you got. I don't know. That's my take on it.
And you have to see what you have. I mean, because there are going to be an influx of youngsters that are going to be in the organization in the very near future. So this is where you have to, evaluate, okay, who's staying here? Who can we use for a potential trade asset? Who can we, who's going to be an impactful player, especially during these times going forward?
Well, there is that as well, but you also have to think with Jake Middleton being close to returning and practicing on the 4th D pair today with Merkley. It was a good opportunity for Meloche to show, hey, I should still be in consideration to be on this team, because he's probably dropping down to defenseman number 8 when it's all said and done. So for Meloche to come out and play strong, obviously he had the goal, but I thought he played very well defensively. And he got about the same amount of ice time as everyone who wasn't Brent Burns and Mario Ferraro tonight. So it was a good, just like Gregor, it was a good statement game. There were a few good statement games out of the guys who really needed it on the Sharks tonight, and Meloche was one of them. And we'll see what happens. I don't think that just because he scored in this game, he's going to appear in the next game. But at least Bob Bugner's going to have some more confidence to be like, you know what? Maybe it's not the end of the world if I put Meloche in.
Yeah, and I don't like and saying everything I said and going with what Kevin said too. Like, I'm not trying to bag on Nick Meloche. Like, I thought he had a really good game.
Yeah.
Right. And he definitely, would have been my lineup choice? No, but I mean, he obviously earned his ice tonight. Like, so again, like, don't take this as me bagging on Meloche. Like, now, do I see like the super upside of Meloche going forward? Not particularly, but credit to him, man. He had a good game tonight.
There's no harm in calling a spade, but sometimes it's a king of spades. You know?
Yeah. Dana Meyerson, Bugner, confidence in rookies? Never.
Hey, Dana. Who was the coach before Bob Bugner?
Yeah, that's it's like it's a recurring theme here. One thing as I see some of the comments coming in from the locker room from multiple sources, it's Nicolas Meloche's mother's birthday. He
my!
So
there you go.
So I think somebody's getting a hockey puck for a birthday with. So that's going to be a good one for it. So going on into the third period, despite the Sharks, giving up two power plays to Washington in the middle frame, and the Sharks couldn't do anything on their one when Orlov held up and threw down Couture. Third period started, and oh boy, 14 seconds in. Yep, that checks off the mark from last year. Off of a faceoff, that checks off a mark from last year. Screening the goalie for a goal. Oh, right. Yep, there's that one as well. All right. So 14 seconds in, Sprong gets his 7th from Backstrom, and Kevin, it was reminding me of memories of last season all over again. And it's the third period, and the Capitals are coming on.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I texted with my uncle who lives out near DC. I texted him the exact same thing about. He's like, Sharks still looking okay, and I'm like, I'm having PTSD over here. But I thought the Caps started to develop some good momentum towards the end of the second period, because they did get a couple of power plays that, even though their power play has been pretty dry as in terms of goals, I thought they generated a lot of chances against the Sharks penalty kill. I just think the Sharks were very solid defensively tonight, and but every time the Capitals took a shot, either it was a dangerous shot that missed the net, or James Reimer came up huge. I mean, James Reimer, I think, had a fantastic game, and I can't say that enough. Even with, you know, his usual leaky rebounds that both Ian and I have pointed out time after time this season. Nevertheless, I think Reimer was solid, but the Caps were getting momentum. And even when the Sharks went on the power play, they ended up getting dominated by the Capitals' penalty killing, to coin a phrase from Randy, which is never good. So getting that goal in the first minute for the Caps, Daniel Sprong, hell of a shot. That's the type of shot that it took to beat James Reimer tonight. But still, that was a dangerous one because that gave the Caps life.
Yeah, and before that goal, leading up to that, like in the later half of the first period and parts of the second, the Sharks were playing with fire a lot. So it felt like only a matter of time. But credit to the Sharks, because I thought they kind of buttoned things back down a little bit afterwards. I thought they had some huge penalty kills in this game where they're, that hasn't been a whole lot of friendliness to. Now their power play was still atrocious, but their penalty kill was on point tonight.
Yeah,
which is good. They had another power play given up to Washington in that one, and nothing would come out of that one. Although Reimer definitely was just getting shot after shot and kind of anticipating that usual Ovi one-timer to get it in. But then the Sharks got something that usually doesn't happen unless it's an empty netter. They got an insurance goal, and they also got somebody else off the side. Jonathan Dahlen has scored his 9th goal this season. He makes it 3-1 San Jose. And you saw some of those little stick handling moves that we've seen from Ulf in the past. I hate to compare, son and dad together, but that was a nice shot from Jonathan Dahlen to basically put this going away.
The poise that he showed on this goal, it's funny because in the first period, like, you saw where he kind of made too many moves and you could tell he was super frustrated, and you would never have known that happened in the same game as this goal, with the poise that he showed before, looking past, and then shooting. Like, just unreal goal. It's nice to see him get going, because look, if the Sharks are gonna have success, they need these guys to finish. There's too many guys in this team that are getting a lot of really good looks and not finishing, and it's nice to see two guys kind of stop doing that tonight.
Yeah, and I think that poise is the right word on that, because Drew Remenda said it on the broadcast. He didn't think that was the right move that Dahlen made, and I agreed. When it happened, I thought, oh, pass that to Benito, kind of like the first goal with Gregor. It's like, oh, make that pass right now. Mm-hmm. But I was wrong. Dahlen trusted his instincts, trusted himself, pulled up, but grip it and rip it, and that was Dahlen's kind of the name of his game in Sweden in the Allsvenskan. I know a lot of fans were loving Dahlen's offensive output at the start of the season, and I was too, because I was happy to see. I've been one of the most critical people of Jonathan Dahlen these last 3 years, but it was nice to see him score. But I did notice that most of his goals were either jam goals right at the doorstep of the crease, or just like tips or whatever, and that's not really the name of his game. So for him to, I think only maybe once or twice this season has he actually just ripped a shot into the net. For him to be able to do that, get off the schneid right through the legs of Samsonov, great goal for Dahlen, and good to see that smile again, guys.
Yeah, big time.
That's something we have not seen out of him in forever.
Yeah, I mean, just a relief off of both Gregor and Dahlen, and doing the thing that the Sharks absolutely need right now, and that's secondary scoring for this team. Ian, I'll come to you. What did you think of the lines this evening? Because I know, yes, Balcers was supposed to be in, and that kind of changed things around. Gadjevich gets in there, and we'll talk about his game-ending fight in a moment. But what did you think of the lines with splitting up Hurdle and Meyer, among other things?
I think after the last game, I understand where Bugner's coming from here. After the last game, they got trucked. It wasn't pretty. It was not at all competitive. Like the Sharks just got trucked. So obviously, I think you want to come in and probably try some different things to see if you can spark some offense. Because again, goals for the Sharks hasn't come easy this year. And I think, you have to, when you have a guy going like Timo Meier, the way Timo Meier's going right now, and I think Timo Meier didn't score tonight, but he was all over the place, like probably next to James Reimer, probably one of the best players on the ice tonight, and didn't have any goals. I think when you have a guy going like that and you need to get some other guys going, I mean, that's, if you can spark some offense from some other guys, that's, probably something you'd want to do. And that's what they did tonight. And it worked for the most part, I think.
Yeah, that's a good call too, because I was just thinking to myself, Timo Meier played great for having 1 assist plus 1, but I'm just looking at it right now. He played almost 21 minutes tonight, which easily led the forwards by a long shot. So he really was a driver of the play this whole game, and I can't say anything more than that, but because you nailed it, Ian.
Yeah, just big game. And again, you want to try and get some guys going. Some lines are coming up completely stumped. It's, you got to send guys over that are going to maybe jumpstart things. And it worked out tonight. We'll see how it works out the rest of the road trip. But tonight, Timo Meier was probably, I don't know, James Reimer had a really good game, but Timo Meier's up there for me. If I was going to make 3 stars, like Timo Meier's probably a number 2, even though he had the assist.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the throw-in, yes, it's an empty netter goal, but the last time Andrew Cogliano had a goal was December 16th against Vancouver. So
they don't ask how, they just ask.
Exactly. So it's nice, and those little things can give you a little boost of confidence. Go ahead, Kev.
Ooh,
yep.
Did we lose? Are you there?
We're here. I thought you were about to say something, so...
Oh, no. I just heard you cut out.
Oh, my bad. My blunda.
I will say, though, like, Cogliano, I thought played fantastic. Talking about how the Sharks played solidly defensively today, that goes for the forwards as well. And I thought Cogliano really led the charge as far as breaking up a lot of plays out high on the blue line, especially the one in the third period where Andrew Cogliano is 5'10" and a half, and a $180, 85, and he out-battled. Now, Carl Hagelin's not the biggest player either, but I mean, he willed that puck out of the zone there, and those types of plays, you saw it repeatedly tonight, and for him to be rewarded off a gorgeous spin-around pass by Logan Couture, that was another one just made me smile. Good to see.
And then after the horn sounds, something crawled up Hathaway's butt, and he said, "I need to fight somebody." Oh, look, Gadjevich is here. Let's just fight for a little bit. I mean, really? I mean, isn't there a rule, unless it's got changed over the last few years, isn't there a rule if you start a fight, especially after the whistle, that there could be some supplemental discipline?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens from that, because I do believe, especially if one of those guys gets an instigator, they're totally suspended. But I mean, the whistle the buzzer had gone, and apparently the refs were not getting paid anymore, because they're just we're just gonna watch, because apparently they only get paid buzzer to buzzer. Have you seen a fight get left alone that long in the modern? I don't remember the last time I've seen an NHL fight get left alone by the linesman for that long.
That was crazy, guys. That was crazy, because it looked like Gadjevich was done, but he wasn't going to tell Hathaway that, and no one came in. So then Hathaway tried to, they threw some more punches, and it looked like Hathaway was done, and still nothing happened. So then Hathaway tries to break his arm free, because he's like, well, if these guys aren't going to stop it, I'm going to, see if I can knock this F her out. It was very, very weird to see. But I wish we could have seen what started at it's Garden Hathaway, so I can only imagine, what happened there. But because who hasn't wanted to knock out Garnet Hathaway since he turned pro? But still, that was a spirited bout and a very unique way to end this game.
Yeah, I mean,
I look at they don't like the Sharks and the Capitals. They've already played twice this year. They don't play again, so I mean, it's not like they can just get you next time. Like, who knows if Gadjevich is even in the league next year?
Hey! Who says they're done for the season? I'm just being a little bit of the optimist here. I mean, come on, guys. Who knows?
I will say, just overall, the energy. There was so much more energy in the Sharks tonight. Not only from the last game against the Lightning, but the last time the Sharks played the Capitals back in November, which I was there. That game sucked.
Yeah,
and not because the Sharks got shut. I mean, that as a hockey game, neither team showed up in that game.
Right.
So I thought both teams showed up. Just the better team won tonight. The score reflected that. But it was definitely a more entertaining hockey game to start this road trip for the Sharks. So.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jerk, for making the point. I know that's it's sarcastic a little bit for both of us.
Jerk's right. They don't play again until the Cup final. Jerk's right. My bad.
Oh man! So the Sharks win 4-1. They get their 22nd win of the season. Reimer with 32 saves, 970 save percentage. It's nice. You got 3 guys that got off the schneid, which is beautiful, and 1 guy that gets his first NHL goal. You can't beat it, and that's a big win for them going in. Alex Beltran, we'll get to some of the comments in the chat, and then we'll get to some of the comments from the players and coaches.
By the way, thanks to everyone in the chat. Like, you guys are bringing a lot of good stuff. We haven't gotten to you guys yet, but we're seeing your comments, so thank you very much.
Absolutely. Alex Beltran, Sharks are 15-0 with the lead after 2 periods. That's pretty impressive, boys, if they can keep the lead going on that one. And like Jerk, good to see you, bud. Like I said on the Pucknologist, 1 goal per month for Cogliano is all we need.
Yeah, he's not here to fill the net. Like,
no, he really isn't.
Completely different reasons than that. So I mean, if you get, I will take any offense from him right now. But I mean, it was it was a big night for secondary scoring. Again, scoring hasn't been easy for this team. I can say that until I'm blue in the face, and I won't be wrong. So getting secondary scoring is super important.
AJ, how the hell did the Caps score 1 goal over 2 games? Yeah, just they got shut up by Vegas the other night. That's something else. And Alex also, this was kind of a little bit of a throwback. It was funny hearing Drew get frustrated with the team, which we've heard so many times over the years. Tom Dolan saying, I'd rather see them double down on young players internally so they can see who are the keepers.
Yep, absolutely.
So I'm trying to see what else do we have. Patrick Tyler, cause this franchise totally hasn't had enough of quote unquote mortgage draft picks for rentals only to get bounced in the playoffs. I don't think we're there yet. I think that realistically,
this team's not a buyer.
No, I don't think this is a buyer.
This is not I'm not worried about this team buying. This team is not a buyer. I don't care what mirage world that some people are living in. That I feel like the organization knows where they're at.
Either over the weekend or yesterday on NHL Network, they were talking about the Sharks being potential buyers, and I'm trying to remember who it was. Whoever the analyst was basically looked at, it's Adnan Virk, so he's known for saying stupid things. But whoever the analyst was basically just looked at him like, what are you talking about? So, if the Sharks do buy, it's not gonna be anything really noteworthy.
It would be like
it might be a Barabanov situation again, which is noteworthy now, but at the time it certainly wasn't.
It'd be like the little pickups here and there. It'd be like the Curtis Brown or Jason Marshall in 04, depth pieces more than
pieces of people with cap hits that teams want to get rid of.
Right. So, do you guys think that they'll put Carlson on LTIR?
He's going to be on for enough games for it. I don't know why you wouldn't.
Yeah, and see, that's why I was kind of surprised, and I hate to be redundant about it, but that's why I was surprised that they left LeBanc off of LTIR. Just because, yeah, if you are in a spot where you're out of the playoffs and you can do what you did last year and be a broker, I mean, wouldn't you want as much space as possible?
How is LeBanc not on the LTIR? Like, who's running the cap on this team?
I'm gonna guess they're not, but how far away from the floor are the Sharks? I haven't paid attention to the cap situation in a long
They're
time because
fine. They have
unlike previous
$11.5
years, we
million
haven't
of
had to
Carlson.
look at the cap situation. So
Yeah, that's the one thing I was just thinking is that it's you guys can have so much more cap space. And let me pull it up on Cap Friendly here. Their projected cap space right now is a little over $5 million.
yeah,
Deadline.
So there's definitely room for more then.
Right.
Yeah, they can. That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
And they have 45 contracts now. Deadline cap space, according to Cap Friendly, is $25 million.
Yeah.
So
weaponize that like a motherfucker.
And you have right now on injured reserve Carlson, LeBanc, Knizhov, who
There you go.
Knizhov. I mean, it was mentioned today about where is he at, and it doesn't look like he's anywhere near anything. Middleton should be back, hopefully sometime on this trip, which would be a good thing. Just because we talked about how there's been surprises of the year, and I think on Pucknologist, AJ and Jurek both said an A grade for Middleton, but
Jacob Middleton is a guy who, I mean, he's a guy that we said a lot of nice things on Tilting Glasses for a long time, as Kevin can testify, but it got to the point where it was like, but he's continually, like he just keeps getting passed on the depth chart. So yeah, I mean, for what Jacob Middleton's done this year, I mean, hats off to him, man. Because at this point, I had wrote him off.
And that's why you give a guy like Nicolas Meloche an opportunity tonight and potentially down the road, because I like to look back and study the 2002-2003 Sharks team, which was a train wreck, but they rebuilt. And I mean, you're going, why are they playing Rob Davison and Matt Karkner? Rob Davison and Matt Karkner, shockingly, had NHL careers from that point for many, many years. So Jake Middleton's kind of in that category where it's like last year before, you'd say, we like him, but should he be there? But just kept working at his craft, and you hope he continues to trend upward. Maybe the same thing with Meloche. Even Knizhov. Everyone loves Knizhov. Knizhov was a nothing prospect 2 years ago.
Yep.
So, yeah.
You just never know. I mean, and you said 03, Kevin?
Yeah.
Well, then never forget Jesse Fibiger and Miroslav Zalazak.
I liked Miroslav Zalazak. Jesse Fibiger, not so much.
Good old days with those uniforms, too. Let's get to some of the comments from the locker room here from Noah Gregor. We wanted to start this trip off strong. It was great to score. It's tough when it's not going your way. I'm playing the best I can, and hopefully tonight starts something off for me. We hope, Noah. I mean, I know we've been trying like crazy. It's not because of the effort, but yeah, just keep pushing yourself, and good things will happen like it did tonight. From Reimer, we were happy with our complete level tonight, and that's something that should never falter. There's 30 other great teams in this league, and he goes on to say, anytime things don't go your way, you want to come back. When we play with the complete level we had tonight, it's infectious. It helps me get into the game and fight. And then he goes on to about Ovi. I was lucky that Ovechkin just hit me with all of his shots tonight. He's an amazing player.
There were at least two that he did not see when Ovechkin shot him.
Yeah. It's amazing how, like, Ovechkin's been in the league how long, and yet somehow he's always open in the same spot where he scores all his goals. Never. I don't understand.
Right. Let me touch on this really quick since we're talking Ovi. If he does it, or if he doesn't do it, or when do you think he will break Gretzky's record? I mean,
I need to pull up a calculator.
just
I think he'll do it
you
though.
think he'll do it?
Yeah. He has the time. He has the time to do it. He still scores at a ridiculous clip. Even I still think he does it before he retires. Like, I think, because again, like, he's not exactly a spring chicken, and he's still putting up goals, like unreal amount of goals. And I don't think he's gonna drop off. Like, he's such a freak human being that I don't think there'll be a significant enough drop off in his production where he doesn't do it.
Yeah, he's currently 36 and has a deal through 2026 at $9.5 million per. So looks like plenty of time.
Yeah, I think by the time he's done, he'll. I think by the time he's done, he will have passed Gretzky's record.
So he's
and even if he doesn't, he's still the greatest goal scorer of all time, in my opinion. Even if he doesn't, because goaltenders now are so much better than they were in the 80s.
Good call.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of goaltenders, Noah Gregor went on to say Reimer shut the door, which is no surprise because he's been great for us all season.
Yeah, I mean, Reimer was great. His post was better, thank God. But yeah, awesome night for Reimer.
All right, I'm saying about it's going to take a little more than 3 seasons from this point.
Yeah.
You're saying 3? I probably say 4. I think he'll hit it in the 4th year.
The way I'm looking at, no, you're right. It's probably going to be about 4. I think it's going to be somewhere in that 4th season, but
yeah. But it's good for the game, and even Gretzky had mentioned that, and he looks forward to it. So, Sharks win this one 4-3. Like Bob Bugner said, I thought we had a little bit from every line tonight. All 4 lines contributed tonight. Good solid win. Good solid 60-minute win. I think there were some hiccups, and Washington was really coming on strong in the third period. But all in all, boys, great job all around.
Yeah, I think if you're a Sharks fan, if you're a Sharks fan and you don't leave this game with happy feelings, are you even a Sharks fan?
Oh, Ian.
It's for real, though. I mean,
you're right.
How could you not be happy with this game?
Yeah, no, this is a good one. And granted, Washington has been struggling this month, but that's what you do. When teams are struggling, you take advantage of it and you get the victory that you maybe on paper might not have had. Go ahead, Kev.
I'm just looking at the stats right now. Every player had at least a shot, a hit, or a shot block. So everybody contributed. Weatherby had no shots, no hits, but he did have a shot block. Everyone else had either a shot or a hit. Contributions all around.
All right. And with that all uplifting news, and now this.
Ooh, Barracuda!
Your San Jose. Go ahead.
I wasn't sure where you were going with that because I'm like, oh, what's the bad news? And then that graphic played. I'm like, oh yeah.
The San Jose Barracuda played a 10 a.m. game this morning at the Shark Tank. They took on the Ontario Reign and lost 4-1. Kevin, details on this one that it
this
could have been better.
Game, at least. I don't think there was a Sharks component in a way. That'll make sense in a moment. I think the Barracuda played a lot like the Capitals did today. Like the Capitals had their chances and played decently, but they didn't do enough to win. And that was the Barracuda. Like the Barracuda outshot Ontario. I didn't think Ontario played great either, but their goals were timely, and this was kind of just a game, to be quite honest. There's not a whole lot to take away. It ended up being 4-1 after an empty netter. Barracuda did some good things. They didn't play a bad game, which a lot of their losses have been really bad losses.
Yeah.
I think John Leonard has been really trending upward lately. Today he was there. He wasn't unnoticeable like other games when he hasn't scored. And that's been my thing in the chat lately. People talking about should Blichfeld be called up, or early on in the year, people were asking, why isn't Leonard up? And I kept saying Leonard hasn't deserved at all to be called up. He's starting to find his game, use his speed, and adjust to the proper way of being a pro versus last year when he just got thrown in on the Sharks and good luck, kid. I think he's starting to figure it out and grow some confidence. I would like to see him score in the next game. Why wouldn't we want to see him score in the next game? But I think if you see him get another couple of goals here over the next 2-3 games, that might be someone you look to call up. But just overall, it was a game. But the Barracuda are starting to really pile up the injuries, though. They already have Nick Cicek out injured with either a broken cheekbone or a broken orbital bone. They haven't specified that, but it's one of those. He took a puck to the face, and they lost Santeri Hatakka for I don't know why. I don't know what happened, but he's out, and the fact that the Barracuda today signed 2 more defensemen to tryouts says to me Hatakka's going to be out a while. Cicek's already out a while. Who knows what else is in the works here. And then on the forward end, Chmelevski has been out missing. We have no idea what's going on with him. The Barracuda finally at least put him on the report of being absent today for the first time in 4 games. And then Hamelick's on personal leave. So it's crazy to think that this team started with 30 players on the roster, or 29 players or whatever it was, and they are about to break 40 players played this season, and yet we're still talking about a lack of depth and a lack of options. But I guess welcome to the taxi squad COVID ECHL world that we have going on right now.
Right. So they lost that one 4-1. I believe Nick Merkley got the credit for the lone Cuda goal.
A jam goal. But hey, I think Nick Merkley's been really strong this season overall. But shuttling between both clubs, I think he's been one of the strong points.
Why don't you think he's had a chance more so besides that Barracuda COVID run?
I think it's just a size thing. I mean, early on in his career, he was pretty decently touted in the Coyotes system. I know he was a top rookie in the AHL his first pro year, but then he had a really bad knee injury, and that set him back because he did not bounce back right away, and that's why the Coyotes traded him to the Devils. I don't really know why he didn't find traction with Devils, especially when they were in a full-on rebuild. But I think it has to do with his size. He's not very strong, physically strong, but he is quick. He's smart. I like his play at both ends, and it's just probably falls into that gap like Danny O'Regan of just the smaller player who, if he's going to be contributing on the NHL roster, he probably needs to be in a middle 6 role, if not a top 6 role, but he's probably not a top 6 NHL player, especially at 25 years old.
He doesn't have the skating for it.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
What about the while we have your Kevin, like what about the goaltending? Like the goaltending sounds like it's been completely atrocious this year for the Barracuda.
Really hasn't though.
Has it been? Like it seems bad because it seems like they get lit up a lot of high-scoring games against.
They do get lit up a lot, and I think a lot of it lies on the defense, the very much patchwork defense group that the Barracuda have had this year, and with all the fluctuation on the Sharks roster, trying to find do the Sharks want Šimek? Do they want Vlasic? Do they want Merkley, Middleton, Meloche? Like the ever rotating third pair for the Sharks that it's been is greatly affecting the Barracuda. I mean, I don't think any of us thought Jacob Megna was going to see time in the NHL this season, and he's the Barracuda. The Barracuda have been without a captain ever since. Luckily,
Right.
they do have Mark Alt on the back end who can pretty much fill in that role seamlessly, but with Mark Alt basically having to do it by himself, Nick Cicek now injured, one of the brighter spots. Knyazov has really struggled defensively, although is getting better. I've liked his last 3 or 4 games, so some progress being done there. But then pretty much everyone else is in each ECHL tryout, although I really like Patrick Hallway. He will never, ever see the time of day in the NHL. He's not that type of player, but I've liked what he's brought to the Barracuda. But all that kind of fluctuation and not having great goaltending. Their goaltending has been good on some nights and been bad on some nights. But I do, getting back to your actual question, Ian, I don't think the goaltending's been that bad. I think Melnichuk has been better this year than he was last year. Statistically, it may not show. Sawchenko does not have the stats. I still think, even though he has the lowest ceiling, he's the best option that the Sharks have in the system right now. And that's also why he's the backup goalie for Reimer at the moment. Is Melnichuk hasn't done enough to deserve it. Sam Harvey's on a tryout, but he was on the Barracuda last season, and he was really good. Like, he had the 2 shutouts, but he gave up 5 goals and got yanked in a game where he was the best player on the Barracuda by about 5 kilometers. Today, he was okay. He was more of like the AHL backup goalie you'd expect. But I would really like to see this team add a quality goalie prospect. Like, not, Melnichuk, a lot of praise was given to Melnichuk because he was a very young kid starting in the KHL, but he was still an undrafted goalie nevertheless. I'd like to see the Sharks get a top-notch goalie in this system sooner than later.
Even like, if let's say they, because I don't know, like, I'm trying to think of who's in the system that would be coming anytime soon, and I can't really think of anyone off the top of my head. Like, would it be better if they just found like a good AHL journeyman goalie maybe to pontoon with Melnichuk?
I've talked about this with the Calder Farmstead guys, and yeah, absolutely. I can't believe that the Sharks or the Barracuda haven't done this years ago. The last time you could really suggest that would be Troy Grosnick, and that was still a few years ago when he still had, some NHL backup quality there, and not necessarily a vet yet. So yeah, I mean, like, Zane McIntyre was available. John Gillies has bounced around all over the place this year. Those guys were available, and the organization decided to stick with Melnichuk, and I think they wanted to reward Sawchenko for sticking with it.
For sure.
Sawchenko didn't see much ice time last year, so I think that it was kind of well, we signed you to an NHL deal. We want to make the most out of that. But yeah, long term, you have to think bringing in a quality veteran leader. I mean, all the AHL teams need that, and I think it's been really missing on a forward aspect since John McCarthy had to retire.
Yeah,
that's why you got guys like Megna and Alt, but we haven't seen it with the goalies at any point.
No.
So I would love to see it. It's not going to happen this year. It just doesn't seem to be the Sharks' way. But I think systematically, a lot of things need to change, and that's one of them.
Yeah. I think, and I saw in the chat, like, Ben Gaudreau's still a couple of years out before he can make the jump to pro. So obviously here, I know that you're not high on Magnus Corona from what you've seen of him so far. I mean, that would be the other goalie, I guess, that would be quote unquote in the system. I don't think any of us have any faith in Zachary Imon becoming anything at this rate. So I don't know. It seems to me like that's the one thing with the Barracuda is, to me, and that's always been kind of my gripe with them, is like it's good to have the kids, but you need need those veteran, like those AHL journeyman guys to kind of round out that roster. And I feel like the Sharks have always been bad at filling those spots in.
Well, and look at what, and we can wrap this up here soon,
Mhm.
but look at what we used to talk about when in our Barracuda segments on Writer's Room and Teal Tinted Glasses was the Sharks have always had AHL teams which were only journeyman players for the
Yeah.
longest
Yeah.
time.
Right.
And then when they came out to San Jose, they flipped the script and it was, we're going to have the youngest professional team in the entire world for 5 years in a row. Like, there are players who 27, 28 years old still looking for jobs in North America who have to go to Europe because they can't find them. But they're quality players. Bring in a couple of those guys. Let these kids learn from the guys who didn't make it, what they can do differently to make it to the NHL.
For sure.
Learn from their teammates, maybe not from their coach. I digress. All right. That was bad. I'm sorry. We'll quickly go around the league really quick. Bruins and Avalanche scoreless, although Taylor Hall was involved with a hit from Nathan McKinnon. McKinnon was bloodied and was taken off of the ice on his own power, of course. So that should be interesting to see how that happens because that's early in the first, and this could get ugly. Moving onward to the scores that are final. Oh, as I just spilled water all over my shorts. That's terrific. Oh, that feels so good. Leafs beat the Ducks 4-3 in a shootout for their victory. That's 1 point for the Ducks, so that doesn't help anything Sharks-wise. Flames beat the Blue Jackets 6-0. Markstrom gets a shutout. Matthew Tkachuk with a pair of goals in that one. And the Blackhawks beat up on the Detroit Red Wings 8-5. Apparently it was 80s night in Detroit. Tyler Bertuzzi gets his 20th this season along with Dylan Larkin in the losing cause. DeBrincat with a pair of goals as well. And Kubalik to help out my fantasy team. Thank you so much. So
Looks like Dylan Strome has a hat trick in that game, or had a hat trick in that game.
Yeah.
Too.
Jerk had the best tweet earlier. He's like, Dylan Strome has a hat trick. Hide your seconds.
oh boy. So Sharks trade for Dylan Strome for a 2023 second. All right, good. No, I'm kidding. All right, so with that, we shall get out of here. In case you missed
One
it,
more thing. Wait, one more thing.
Sorry.
What did you guys think of the Aaron Dell thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
All right.
He's become a trendsetter of this. First, it was Mark Stone. I forget who the Nashville player was earlier this season. Not even like a few weeks ago, and now that one. I'm surprised it was only 3 games.
When I saw this, I'm not gonna lie, like I ghoulishly laughed when I saw the play. I didn't realize the outcome, like I didn't realize how badly Batherson was hurt by the play, which obviously isn't funny at all. But I thought, like, just I'm a jerk, and I used to do stuff like this when I played like ball hockey all the time because no one can touch me. I'm the goalie, but if I stick my elbow a little far and you run into it, that's not my problem. I ghoulishly laughed at it. The outcome sucks. I mean, the kid's gonna miss his first All-Star appearance, and that's all bad, right? So I mean, I feel a little bad for ghoulishly laughing as much as I did, but I admire the moxie.
Yeah, the outcome definitely sucks, and I think Drake Batherson's a pretty cool guy from what I've seen of like videos of him off the ice and stuff like that. It seems like he's a pretty good guy. So it's unfortunate to see that happen to him. With that hit by Aaron Dell, I mean, I almost feel it's a reactionary suspension, and it really does, like, a reactionary to the all that the outcry of how could he do that, all this stuff, and because he's a goalie, I mean, okay, 3 games. I guess Dell's not starting every game, so that's gonna play into this as well, because he might have backed up the next 3 games anyway. So if you only give him like 2 games, he's probably playing 1 at most of those. So you give him the extra one, I suppose. But does this open up the possibility that goalies, when they're not in the crease, could become legal to hit again?
Yeah, because that's the question, right? Because obviously, like what Aaron Dell did, I mean, like I said, I ghoulishly laughed at it because I've done similar things, and I'm not ashamed.
Were you a goalie?
But oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
But.
It's why Ian and I get along so well. I'm defense, he's goalie, you know.
But here's the thing, right? The thing is, though, is if Batherson takes Dell and drills him into the boards, like imagine the uproar over that. So I mean, I do get it, and I think it's going to be interesting. Like Kevin brings up a good point: is like, do they do that, or do they just kind of be like, okay, goalies, enough's enough. Like you guys can't do this shit with impunity anymore, because Aaron Dell's not the first goalie to do this.
No.
Right.
You see it happen. You just don't see a player get injured. You don't see a penalty. You don't see anything. It's something that happens. It goes, they're going to let that go, huh?
Mm-hmm. So I think it's probably something that they probably should look at, because otherwise, like, what's going to happen? Yeah. Next time Bathurst will be like, yeah, I'm going to the boards and you're coming with me, goalie.
Yeah, I would. That's what I'd. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's suspension based on the outcome more than the play itself. And it sucks. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not cheering injury here. It's not what I'm doing. It's unfortunate, super unfortunate for Batherson. But yeah, I don't know. I do feel like it's a suspension based on result rather than play.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is more on the injury and how what's the word I'm looking for? More how dangerous it looked.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this goes. It could lead to some other shenanigans and a lot of things. And he's out long term. Drake Batherson is so. Kachuk is going to take a spot in the All-Star team.
Not like those teams don't play each other a bunch more coming, so those games will be.
And it's classic Ottawa and Buffalo, and there's always got to be one crazy goalie that starts a whole full-on brawl. So, all right, with that, in case you missed anything or you want to watch this again, check us out on tealtownusa.com or your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Hit that YouTube button. Make sure you hit that notification bell to notify you when we go on the air. You can also check us out on SoundCloud, Spotify, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio. And like we said, always at tealtownusa.com. So we'll close this one out as we get set for the Sharks to take on. I'm trying to do the connected dots here. Was it Tampa or it's Florida? They're going to some guy named Joe Thornton is on that team. I mean, should be interesting to see. We won't get any flashback videos at all on this weekend now, will we?
We might.
Okay, I was gonna be like, you guys are hanging me out to dry with that one. Wow.
Well, it's not Vegas. I mean.
Oh, I love Vegas
game.
I don't think you should be mentioning Joe Thornton and hanging out to dry in the same.
Very true, Kevin. And with that, your final thoughts on where the people can find you.
My final thoughts are I had 2 of them. I've already forgot one. So, the Sharks got the secondary scoring that they needed. I would like to see some primary scoring coming in soon because having that balance is what really going to make this team go. But I would like to think that our show, since this is one of our rare 3-man panels and this is only my 3rd show of the season, I'd like to think that I'm the secondary scoring that came in to help really give you guys a boost. But you guys, as the primary players in this, you guys really brought it. So I thought we had a really good team effort. So thanks for having me. I'm at Kevin Lacey 22 on most social media platforms, and I believe I'm going to be on the Calder Farmstead podcast talking more Barracuda in the next day or two. So,
all right, Kevin,
Awesome.
thank you. Thank you for your assists on all of our deep conversations when we got those proverbial conversation pucks in deep. Appreciate that. Ian Reed, thank you, buddy, as always. Where can they peeps find you?
You can find me right here, like for the next 6 shows in a row, apparently. No, you can find me on the Twitter machine at Ian Blogs Hockey. When the Sharks do good, it's good.
It's always good, and it always seems like it's going to cancel a classic Ian rant, which is a bummer.
Of course I do.
Right?
Oh man, one of these shows. Don't worry, guys. One of these shows, they're gonna do something that makes me really angry during the day, and I'm gonna stew on it, and then they're gonna give up like 10 goals, and then I'm gonna come on here and just go completely apocalyptic on them. It's coming. It'll happen.
So with that,
the real reason that I came on because we were preparing for Ian to blow up on the very first game of the road trip, but it didn't happen. So it ended up being a really good show.
So join us on Tuesday, February 1st, following Sharks and Lightning, when Ian will finally get a chance to go off. I feel for Landy for that episode. I'm at PuckGuy14 on the Twitter and the Instagram. Most importantly, it is Bell Let's Talk Day. It's always good to know about, take care of your mental health as well. So be sure to put out that little hashtag, albeit they
No, fuck Bell. Here's what you're gonna do.
You
Fuck
tell me.
Bell.
Okay.
What you're gonna do is you are gonna go and you are going to, I don't know, pull out a 5, and you're gonna directly donate to your favorite mental health charity, because Bell are a bunch of fucking cockroaches, and they don't deserve to get your pat on the back for, don't give them a tax write-off. Do it yourself. Make a donation on your own behalf for mental health, whatever. Pick your charity, whether it be up here in Canada like Kids Helpful and something like that, or I don't know what they are in the States. I'm sure there's plenty of them. I'll find them and maybe I'll tweet them out later.
Yeah, there's Mental Health America is one thing I know Felix has said.
Go.
So
yeah. So, yeah, but fuck Bell. They're a bunch of soulless leeches.
Well, especially after what they did a few weeks after, when they let go of Dan O'Toole, among a good friend of the show, Matt Sakaris, with 3 TSN radio stations.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they were like, oh, COVID subsidies, give me them all, and then we're going to lay everyone off and pay our shareholders. Fuck those guys.
Yeah. So you beat me kind of to the punch, but, so that'll do it for us. The next time we will be with you, it is Saturday, when the Sharks, for the first time since 2003, will take on Joe Thornton, and he's not wearing teal. So until then, keep it real, keep it teal, keep it real teal. The conversation now continues on the Discord. Have a good night, everyone, and take care of yourself and each other. Good night.
Yes.
Well, I should probably do the exit one thing.